Oh, I clicked the right one. Oh, sweet. Okay, we did it. Hello, everybody. I uh, I started late, but it's not that late. In fact, I've started later. So, considering how much went wrong, being only 2 minutes late feels like a victory. Yeah. So, I don't think Constantine's coming. At least I doubt it. Uh, he's been he's been busy at work. He's trying to do his job. Yeah. It's been it's been a year, you know. For like a year and a half, it's been a year. It's been hard for everybody, especially the Ukrainians, especially the Ukrainian people. It's been tough. And obviously he is a Ukrainian person. Uh so that's that. I don't know, is everything like working right? I don't even know if things are working right. Can you say something? I don't even know if your plugin is working. It's not. Oh, is it? No, it's not. Okay, I'll fix it. I'll fix it. Yeah. Uh, I really should get a new plugin for this, but I always forget to. And to be fair, fixing it is very easy. Um, because what happens is that it's the plugin. Could you say something, by the way?
I can say lots
Okay,
of things.
cool. The way the thing what happens is that the plugin, it takes an app and plays the audio from the app, and for some reason, it just forgets which app it's supposed to be taking audio from, and it's like, what app? I don't know. I'm confused. And then you just tell it. It's like this app, and it's like, oh, okay.
Listen, plugin, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's what happens.
Maybe it has Alzheimer's. It's
That's
got some form of dementia.
It's like the app. It just forgets. It just forgets
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be, which I relate to. That happens to me a lot. So yeah, that's that's that. I have some green eyeballs today. The satellite image came out. There
No.
wasn't super terribly interesting things on the satellite, unfortunately. It was a very beautiful day for the most part. In the southern part of the country, it was very beautiful. It was a little overcast, so it wasn't. There weren't like clouds, but it wasn't totally transparent. You know what I mean? It's like faintly white.
So not the clouds that we hate, just the other clouds.
Yeah, it just makes everything like slightly more difficult to see, but you can still see everything because it's mostly clear. Um,
I
in
like
the
those clouds.
in the north of the country, it was very cloudy. So in the whole Kharkiv, Luhansk area, you couldn't see anything. But everything kind of south of the Seversky Donetsk River, you could see. And unfortunately, this satellite pass, because there's two satellite passes in kind of the middle of the country where we care about. There's two satellite passes. The first pass is more to the west, and you get like parts of the Dnieper River, but it stops around Vuhledar. So
Mm.
you can't see like Bakhmut or anything. And then you get another satellite pass 2 days later. So it will be on Wednesday. No, Thursday. On Thursday, there will be a second satellite pass, and that pass, you can see like Bakhmut and stuff. So that's the way it works. So this like main area around Orkiv, we get two satellite passes 2 days apart. And in Bakhmut, we don't. uh,
It's like somebody planned
so
that out.
yeah, so that's the way the satellite works. It used to be that we would get Kherson 2 times. We still do, but it just nobody cares anymore. I guess you care. You care about the Black Sea. But
I really care about that. I especially care about it right now
yeah,
because ships aren't reporting the way that they normally report. So the only way for me to see anything is to actually see on satellite right now.
yeah. So you get 2 images. I think they're 2 days apart too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually the same 2 images. It's just the prior images because they get like this part of the country and then like this part of the country and then like this part of the country. So it's like, and there's like a day in between each one. So any given part you have to. Anyways, so that's the way it works. So we got this main part here. There honestly wasn't anything super interesting, but I did find some stuff to look at. I'm assuming everything loaded right. I never checked. Okay, so I think it's loading. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so I guess I don't know. Do you want to talk about something first, or should I just get into the green eyeballs?
I will talk about actually, interestingly, this morning, there's at least 2 more ships that sailed into the Odesa area ports. So that's 2 days in a row that ships sailed in. These ones weren't announced, which is interesting. That's not been a thing so far. Other people obviously announced them. I'll cover them in my update tonight, but kind of interesting that 2 days in a row they're operating their corridor, and that's pretty exciting. It's also somewhat notable to me that we've been a couple days now without any attacks in the Black Sea that have been publicized at all. I kind of thought that maybe we'd see something on the Day of Defenders, and we didn't, or at least it hasn't been publicized if that happened. So I'm kind of wondering if in the next couple days something will come out about that, or it's just notable to me that it's been fairly quiet, actually, because that wasn't the case for the longest time. So, yeah, something to keep an eye on. That's all.
I have seen some, I think intentionally controversial takes on this, where people were declaring the Black Sea Fleet has failed. They have failed.
Yeah.
It's they can't enforce their mandate, so they're failures. What do you think of that?
So I think a lot of that was taken out of context. A lot of that came from the guy from the UK. I apologize. I don't even remember exactly who it was anymore. It was a long time ago this morning. But I think what he was trying to say is the Ukrainian Navy has had a lot of success in the Black Sea and in Crimea generally, especially this summer. Nobody can argue that, and we should be really celebrating that. And I don't think there's anybody other than maybe Russia that wouldn't agree with that. However, saying that the Black Sea Fleet is no longer operational or not useful or any of these things, I don't think we have a long enough timeline to actually assess that right now. How fast they can fix some of the ships that are out of commission or have been attacked in some way. They seem like they're fixing them faster than others have thought they might. It still seems like they're operating in the Black Sea. They just aren't necessarily operating from Sevastopol, but there are still ships in Sevastopol. It's not like they're not there. MT Anderson put up a post just this morning of Sevastopol, and I think there was 4 Rapuchas there. So it's the Black Sea Fleet is not incapable of operating right now. Has Ukraine absolutely changed the way that they operate and changed what they believe they can get away with right now? Yes. Has Ukraine had some massive successes, including bombing the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet? Yes. Do we know exactly what came out of bombing the Black Sea Fleet headquarters? know, and it's a little not factual to say that they are inoperable at this moment. However, go eat a piece of pie or a piece of cake and celebrate because they're doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, from what I've seen, or what I was referring to anyway, people weren't saying that they're ineffective. They were just saying they're losers. To be fair, they're just like,
I mean,
it's like you could try, but you lose anyway. Nice try. Uh, that was
not,
more of what they were going for.
that's fair. See, logical exit over here is like, hey, Andrew's making a joke and she totally doesn't get it again. It's fine though.
It's
all
like
good.
look, people were just making fun of them, and they were pretty serious about it. It's not just a joke, but I think that was more of at least the people I was talking about. They were like, oh, the Black Sea Fleet has lost. They're losers. It's like a sports ball game. Like they lost the game. Like there might like the season's not over. Like they could win another game, but this game they
Exactly.
lost.
This particular game, they lost. The month of September did not go well for them. I think we can put it in the losing column. That sounds accurate to me. I'm prepared to say that.
Yeah. So I do want to say a fact. I have not read any news for the past like 3 or 4 hours because I've been just geolocating stuff the entire time. So anything that's happened in the past like 3 or 4 hours, I have no clue about. All I know is like I was looking for like a house that was next to a tree. Um, and I was
At
looking
least it wasn't
for,
a tree next to a tree this time.
yeah, I was looking for like a grassy field that had a very specific burn mark on it. So that's what I know from the past few hours. So if I have for all I know like something crazy happened, I have no idea. I went from geolocating to starting to stream with nothing in between. So I just want to state that. Um, so I don't know. I guess we could talk about Marinka first because there's been some interesting stuff from Marinka. Not the actual city itself, but from north of Marinka. So I guess I'll start here. A few days ago, I don't even remember how many days ago this was. It was a while ago, actually. I think it was the last satellite pass. Yeah. Okay. So it was the 25th, and also earlier. I think this also happened on the 5th or the 6th or something. But anyways, Russia did two really enormous assaults north of Marinka towards Krasnohorivka, and these assaults. I'm gonna okay. These assaults were enormous. These were not a little deal. This was a big deal. And not only were the assaults very large, but these were extremely important to Russia. And we know that because they had like state television there filming it. Okay, they had like cinematic drones like flying around their tanks to get cool camera shots and stuff. They had like really high quality cameras and whatever. So they this was a huge deal. They did an enormous assault. I don't know exactly the scale of it. Probably one or more brigades like entirely involved. Dozens and dozens of vehicles. Many hundreds of infantry. So these were huge assaults, and they did two of them. They were about 20 or so days apart, and we have satellite imagery showing it. So this was from the 25th. You could see the tank tracks. I traced the tank tracks to make it easier to see, but you could see that they moved up from like this field into this tree line, and we actually have video of this exact thing happening of them rolling up with BMPs, and some of the BMPs exploded around here. They also went across this field. They did in they like broke apart and went in two different directions. Then they went across the field there. You can also see these tracks across the field. That's not from this attack. That's from a different attack. That attack was also recorded, by the way. This is we've gone over that attack. That attack happened a long time ago, but that's so these tracks over here. I don't know if you can see them. They're very difficult to see. They're very, very faint, but they're there. But that's a different attack. I just want to stress that out. So they assaulted this way. This is not the only way they assaulted, but they assaulted across the field that way. They heavily shelled these tree lines. You can see the shelling in this image. This image doesn't show that it was all from this day, but it was mostly from that day. And similarly here, you can see shelling there, and harder to see, but you can see shelling up here. And really, there's like an oval here. You kind of use your imagination. You can connect all the dots, and it makes like an oval. And everything in the oval got hit by shells, and everything outside the oval, not much shelling. There is prior shelling, but this is fresh. Anyway, and then they also shelled over here. Where here you can see like an almost perfect circle. It's really kind of bizarre how almost perfect the circle is, and everything in that circle got really heavily shelled. The shelling over here is from the prior attack that was a month ago. So this was all the attack on the 25th. They also, I didn't know at the time, but they released a video where they also did an assault here, where they pushed up along this track and they captured this position, which I mapped much later on, I believe. Oh no, sorry, it was here. Where am I? I'm so lost. Yeah. So here they pushed up this track here and captured this position there. So that happened at roughly the same time. And so go back to the even older attack, which I think was September 5th, if I remember right. It was a very long time ago. My memory is very bad. I think it was the 5th. I'm gonna keep going back in time. Okay, here it is. So here you can, these tank tracks are a little bit easier to see. But you see this tank track just went straight up. This one went this little curvy and over to this tree line. And these tank tracks are a little bit harder to see, but they went left and left. So this attack, they went up this way towards over here. And they went left over here and kind of up like that into this tree line. So the first attack, they went more to attack this general area, and you can see the shelling along the tree line. You can see how much less shelling there is here than in the image we were just looking at. And there was also shelling up here, which I found very weird, that there was this like line of shelling with nothing on the other side. It's just like this line for some reason. I couldn't understand that. I still don't. But I just want to say, I'm just trying to say that these were really significant attacks. And also notice, I didn't know why they did this at the time. But now it really makes sense in retrospect, because Magyar, he posted this video of all of these destroyed Russian vehicles that happened. He claimed it was this day, and at the time I was very confused because I hadn't heard of a major Russian attack on that day. But then, because I thought the attack was over here, and then as I just said, they actually also attacked up here and captured that position. So anyways, so this was a massive attack. They did one huge attack on the 5th, and then they did another massive attack 20 days later on the 25th. And we got some of a video a few days ago. Unfortunately, I can't show the video because it's They'll probably get me like demonetized or something. But there's a video that depicted the first assault, not the second one, but the first assault. You could see tanks and BMPs kind of going up and down here, and going up and down here, and going up and down there, in all the same three places that I noted before. And they were just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that's why the tank tracks are so obvious. It's not one tank driving. It's like 50 tanks going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So these tank tracks were just giant by the end of the battle. And in that video, you could see vehicles exploding like right here and also over here. And all those vehicles were Russian. But anyways, why am I bringing this up? Because today, there was a video that came out. Notice how the map changed. Today, a video came out of Russia sending FPV drones to attack this position. This position that they did 2 enormous assaults on. And keep in mind that this position wasn't even the target of the assault. The target of the assault was here. This position was just the first thing they had. Like they moved up into here so that they could wrap around and like attack this rear tree line, while they were also attacking, I believe this was their main objective, to take this tree line. So they basically wanted to capture these kind of 3 tree lines, and this tree line here was just kind of like a stepping stone to get to where they wanted to go, and it wasn't even supposed to be a major part of the fight. And now they're hating Ukrainians there. This assault was a total train wreck for Russia, an absolute fail, and they wanted to succeed so badly. They had state television there. They were filming all these epic drone scenes, and they're so bummed that they can't even post the videos because they got wrecked.
Hey, Andrew.
Yeah.
I just got my computer working, and it turns out you haven't shared your screen with me. Would you mind?
Oh yeah. I never did that because your computer was broken.
It really was. But I have a question about this, because you said they've had 3 battles in this particular area.
Two main assaults.
Right. And then there was the other one, like an old one, right?
No, there were 2 total. The first one was on the 5th, and the second one was the 25th. Prior to the 5th, I never saw it. Well, there was a battle along this railroad, but that was from like 2014. It was like 10 years old.
But so what is so important about this particular area that they chose it to do the filming at and do these 2 giant battles that they didn't?
I honestly don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. It was very confusing to me because I've talked about these battles on the stream multiple times before, and every time I brought it up, I said, "Why is nobody talking about it?" Ukraine never mentioned it ever. The Russians never talked about it. The Russians talked about different attacks. They talked about how they assaulted this mine and captured this mine. They talked about that, yeah.
Is that the one that we watched the video of the different FPV or the different vehicles? Let's
BMPs. There are BMPs and tanks. This was one of the coolest videos of the entire war. Because the guy who filmed it actually died there. He was a famous Russian drone pilot, and he died in this battle, taking this mine. And he did, honestly, it was his best work. It was the coolest drone footage I've ever seen. And he died. And that's that. So that was that battle. Russians talked about that battle. a lot, like way too much, honestly. For an event that happened one time and they took really bad casualties, they really liked hyping it up. But they never talked about this other battle. There were some Russian mill bloggers who stated that Russia attacked and took this tree line here. But even they never mentioned that this tree line wasn't even like this tree line was a stepping stone to the actual goal. They never mentioned the major battle going on here, either of them. They only mentioned this tree line, and they said that this was like an attack they did to capture that tree line, and they were saying that they moved from the mine, like they moved from this tree line over here and the mine and captured this, and that full stop, that's the whole battle. Don't even need to mention the rest. That's all you need to care about. That's all they said. They never said the dozens of tanks and BMPs that were fighting in this field. Never brought it up. So it was just bizarre to me that nobody ever talked about it. Russia released it was TASS or whatever. TASS, they released a video where they showed some of the battle, but they made it look like the battle that was going on here was actually going on over here, and they showed capturing this trench right here. So they showed like a BMP-2 that looked like it was like wearing a cardboard hat. It was kind of a weird looking BMP. It looked like a BMP, like if you took like a refrigerator box and put it on top of the turret of a BMP-2, that's what this BMP looked like. It was like a
My
BMP
nephew
with a.
love that.
I could actually get the image. Give me a second. But they showed the BMP-2 coming out and the infantry jumping out and them jumping into this trench, and they said, "We win, victory." They forgot to mention that this was the least important part of the entire battle. They totally forgot to mention that they lost a ton of vehicles over here. None of that came up. Here is here's the BMP I was talking about. It's like a BMP with a cardboard box on top.
Okay, but seriously, how many times do we look at these sorts of systems that are meant to protect from drones? And like, if my 5-year-old nephew had designed them, I would not be surprised. Like, it's impressive how often that happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that this wouldn't work. I'm just saying it looks ridiculous.
Exactly.
It
The
just looks
effectiveness
ridiculous.
is not what we're judging here, just the ridiculousness.
It's just a BMP with a box on top.
Of course. As you do.
Yep. Where am I? I'm lost. Okay, I found myself. So I have some still images from this video. Here are some of them. Working on it. Not going well. Open. Okay. Here's a still image. You can see in the script fireballs. Who knows? Maybe they're making marshmallows. Who knows? Here is another image of this looks like a BMP maybe, and that looks like a BMP. It's hard to tell because they're all wearing hats. They're all wearing these weird big hats. They might be tanks. Might be a tank with a hat on top. I'm not really sure. I can't even see. This looks just like a smudgy pixel. But the key here is that this vehicle is moving north, and this one's moving north, and this one's moving south. And you see that there's 3 tracks that they're following. Just like we saw on the satellite, there are 3 tracks. And to show more, is there more? Oh, well, yeah, there's this. This shows the greater battle. So this shows here. How can I show this? It shows here. Where am You see there's one tree line that goes this way. So keep in mind that to the right is north and to the left is south, and to like in the direction that direction is west. Okay, so uh, uh so this is like the tree line that had like the oval shaped artillery on it. So the artillery was hitting like over there and over here, as you can literally see in the photo. And this was the tree line that they captured. They claim to have captured this kind of southern part. Uh, so this is just like the overview of the battle, and the camera is like over here somewhere, looking this way, and this is that tree line, and this is the other tree line, and yeah. So yeah, what else? Is there another photo I could show? I can't remember what screenshots I got. Oh, here's another one. This shows more of the scale of the fighting, because this is just a little tiny, there's a little tiny piece of the battle. So you can see there's a vehicle here that doesn't look very happy. I don't think it works anymore. There's a vehicle there that's smoking. That's probably not good. Here's another vehicle that's smoking. This one looks more deliberately smoking, like they're making a smoke screen. That one just looks like it might be on fire. And here is a vehicle, and there's a vehicle, and there's a vehicle, and there's a vehicle. So there's a lot of vehicles just in this photo. Oh, and that's a vehicle, and that's a vehicle, and that's a vehicle, and that's a vehicle, and that's a vehicle. So these are all vehicles. This is a very large battle. That's what I'm trying to say. This was big. This was a lot going on. This wasn't like recon by combat. This was a giant battle. That this is the only footage we have of, and this footage culminated in them pretending to have won the battle because these guys jumped out of the back of a BMP, right? So, oh boy. So it culminated in these guys jumping out of the BMP, and then they went up and they captured this trench over here. End of the story. You don't need to know the rest. Okay, they captured this trench. So, I have to find where I am. I have so many windows open right now. I don't even know what window I'm looking for. Okay, I found it. So yeah, there's that. And
That's
at the end of everything, after all of that, their whole big battle, they're sending FPV drones in to attack the tree line that they obviously couldn't capture. So, great job. That's the big assault that nobody's talking about for some reason. It would be fantastic if Ukraine posted something like mentioning this battle, but Ukraine hasn't. I haven't seen Ukraine post anything about this, and Russia posted that one video that I just showed. So, another point that I'd like to bring up, I've brought this up in the past numerous times. Ukraine, they captured all of these positions east of Nevelske. Personally, I've known this for a very long time. I can't even remember how long ago this was. But I mapped it as a gray area the whole time. Like it's been a gray area for I'm just going back in time now. It's been a gray area all this time. Like I knew Ukraine controlled all that area this whole time. I only updated this one section because a video came out proving it. And otherwise I was going to keep it as a gray area the entire time. But now it's official. It's now official. We can talk about it. They took this. It was a very long time ago though. Beyond that, there was Russian shelling right here, which is north of Vodiane. So they're shelling here. I very, very conservatively changed the map. It doesn't get much more conservative than that.
That's impressive.
It could be like honestly, Ukraine might control this entire tree line. I just opted for the conservative approach for this one, um, waiting for more proof. So
I mean, one felling doesn't tell you everything for sure. Waiting on that one makes a lot of sense.
yeah, and moving on north, here is near Druzhba and really more near Maiorske. I I changed this. It went from a gray area to a Russian controlled area, and this was based on Ukrainian drone attacks and along that train, which is again not terribly big change, but it is a very minor change nonetheless. Um, so yeah, I think that's all of the major map changes that I have, and beyond that, I don't have terribly much news. So Ukraine has been shelling in the Serebranka forest, which is usual, despite there's a giant gray area, because I honestly think the front line shifts constantly. I don't think there is an actual front line. I think it's just kind of like wishy-washy. Because every once in a while, we'll get Russian shelling, like over here. And then every once in a while, we'll get Ukrainian shelling over here. And I don't really know what else to say. Like I don't, I don't really spend too much time mapping the forest because I think it's kind of like mapping a desert. It's just constantly changing. So, uh, and yeah, so this area north of Klischiivka is somewhat interesting because Russia is shelling it. It could be that Ukraine has moved up. Where they're shelling, you can sort of see it in this shading. This is a rather steep. I don't know the word. I don't know the word. Crevasse, ravine. I don't know like I'm learning that the words exist. See, let's look at positive, right? Like I
Yeah,
remember that the word crevasse exists, okay? But I don't know what the correct word for this
I would
is.
call it a ravine.
A ravine? Okay,
A
so
ravine.
anyways, so it's rather steep. It's not deep, but it's steep. It's like greater than a 45-degree angle. So it's like more steep than 45 degrees, but it's
Yeah.
only like maybe 10 meters deep. Um, it's something like that. It's not like super deep, but but it's steep. So that's where they're shelling at the bottom of it. Uh, Not really sure what that means, but that's a thing. Okay, so around Klischiivka and Andriivka, um, there has been news that Ukraine has crossed the the railway, and we do have video of them on the other side of the railway, getting being attacked by the Russians. Um, so I'm not sure. We know that they crossed the railway. Like it's a known fact that they crossed the railway. I just don't know how much it matters. Like what we saw in that video were like five guys hiding in foxholes, and I like technically they crossed the railway, right? Because they're in foxholes on the other side of the railway. But at the same time, I'm not sure if five guys in foxholes represents much. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not really sure what to make of that. However, I do know that from everything I've heard and read today, Russia is counterattacking Andriivka, and I really doubt they're counterattacking the town. I think what they're counterattacking is this area in the north, um, probably trying to push across these kind of higher grounds above the marshiness, which does kind of seem almost entirely I can't say that word. not good for your health. It's very bad for your health to do that, because you're very exposed. You're like standing on top of a very tall thing while running through a very low area towards people who don't like you. So, very dangerous. Also, they might just be crossing this marshy area, but I do believe they're counterattacking. And from what I have heard today, the Russians took a lot of casualties in these counterattacks, today very specifically. Similarly, I've heard that they are counterattacking south of Andrivka, which is where Ukraine appears to be doing their main attacking. Although I'm not sure if Ukraine is actively attacking right now. It seems that I said this kind of last time, where they're kind of taking turns attacking, where Ukraine attacks, and then it doesn't, like, whatever happens happens, and then they stop attacking, and then Russia attacks. So that appears to be what's happening. So it's like 1 or 2 days of Ukraine attacking, and then 1 or 2 days of Russia attacking, and it's going back and forth. That appears to be what's going on. And right now it's Russia's turn, I guess. So from what I understand, they're attacking the southern area, probably closer to over here. It's probably more like this than up there, but I'm not really sure. They might be attacking both, and again, they're probably attacking kind of that way too. And I did a really minor map change, I think yesterday. This was the map change. Not It was barely even worth mentioning. So. Are there instances where the Russians attack without massive casualties? Yes, they do attack sometimes without massive casualties. Um, Also, what is massive casualties? To me, massive casualties is losing the combat ability of whatever force attacked. So, like, if you attacked with a platoon and you lose like 10 guys, I consider that massive casualties, because then the platoon basically can't function anymore. Um, I've also I've heard people claim that like 2 casualties in a platoon is massive casualties. So it really comes down to who is describing it. It's uh, I think it's more subjective what massive casualties are. It depends on the circumstance, and also if you're doing these like big infantry attacks over terrible terrain and whatever, um, you might expect to lose half of your guys. Like, it might be just part of your calculus. So then, would losing half be huge casualties, or would it just be normal casualties? I don't know how to really interpret that. I don't think this conflict is gonna, or this war is gonna freeze at all during the winter. I don't think anything's gonna freeze except the ground. There's gonna be fighting the whole time.
Hopefully the ground.
Yeah. So, okay. So we talked about Marinka. We talked about the north. Um, there was this video of fighting north of Novomairske yesterday. Um, I don't know if this video is new or old. I assumed it was old, and it went very badly for Ukrainians. It went, so yeah, I marked it as graphic. We talked about that a little while ago, but this was marked graphic. I don't know if it's new or old. I assume it's old, but it could be new. Um, the assault went very badly for the Ukrainians. So that's kind of all I have to say about that area. Okay, so we have some green eyeballs, and some of the green eyeballs are interesting, and some of them are not. Like, this one's not very interesting. It's sort of interesting, but not really, because there wasn't super heavy shelling around here for a while. But this looks like MRL shelling, like a grad, or not. It's probably bigger than a grad. Um, but anyways, it was interesting, somewhat baby, maybe stretching it to call it interesting. Noteworthy that they're shelling in this exact location where there hasn't really been much shelling for 2 or 3 weeks. Now, north of here, you see, Ukraine for a long time was trying to assault down this very specific tree line, trying to push down to here. And they made a whole bunch of attempts trying to do that, and they all failed. And they also, when that kept failing, they tried going down this tree line, and that also failed. And I think they also tried going this way, and this is kind of a road to nowhere, so it didn't really go anywhere. But it's interesting that here is now getting shelled. It's not super heavy shelling. You see these really big explosions. I'm not really sure what those are. Probably MRLs of some sort, the big kinds, probably not grads, bigger than a grad. So also, I'm not sure who controls that. It could be Russia moved up and took it, or it could be Ukraine moved down and took it. I guess we'll see. In the future, we'll find out. Have I talked about this battle yet? I can't remember. When was the last stream?
Friday.
Yeah. This battle occurred after that stream. Yes, it was after, right? Yes, this battle was after that stream. Okay, so this was another enormous battle. We have 3 major battles to talk about. That's cool. Although 2 of them happened a month ago. Yeah. So Russia did a huge battle between the 28th, or it's probably the 27th and the 28th. And we got news about it on the 28th. I don't know if these 2 battles occurred on 2 days or on the same day, because this first part, I'm pretty sure, happened very early in the morning. I'm pretty sure. So what happened is a bunch of vehicles, tanks and BMPs, they drove down this tree line here, and then they got to around here, and they turned and drove on like a 45-degree angle north like this, and they were all destroyed. It was a bizarre thing to watch, because they didn't use any smoke at all. There's no smoke. There's no artillery fire that I could see from either side. No artillery fire. The tanks and BMPs, or the tanks at least, were shooting the entire time. Not really sure what they were shooting at. They were just kind of seemed to be shooting at random, or just shooting as fast as they could reload, basically. And they were driving in a straight line across a minefield, and I think most of them were taken out. At least some of them were taken out by mines. I never fixed that. I meant to fix that. This first one, I couldn't tell if it was a mine or a drone. This one, I'm pretty sure was a mine. It blew up very catastrophically too. It was a very cinematic explosion for that one. This BMP, I honestly have no clue what hit it. I don't know if it was a mine or a drone. I can describe this BMP. It was somewhat unfortunate for them, because this tank and this BMP were kind of traveling together. When this tank got damaged, the crew jumped out and started running away. The BMP kind of drove up. It drove up to the tank and like went around it, and it just kept going. And they got to around here, and they're like, and turned around, and they started driving back, and they picked up the crew. And I think they picked up like another 10 guys from somewhere. I'm not really sure where they come from. But this BMP, at the end of the day, it had like 20 people in it. And it kept driving and then exploded. Then there's this other BMP that also exploded for some reason. So this was one attack. This video came out on the 28th. And I think this happened on the 27th. So that was one part of the attack. Of an attack where they said a lot more happened. The following day, we got even more videos. And I think I didn't fix this yet. Yep, I forgot to fix that. Very forgetful. So this attack, the second attack, which either happened later that day or the following day, I'm not sure. So this attack, it consisted of multiple waves. One wave drove up to this tree line and exploded somehow. Not really. I have no idea how, but all of these vehicles exploded. So you see one here, one there, one here, one there, one over there. So these all kind of exploded, and there's this little radio pointing at them. So that all happened around there. Maybe part of that wave, and maybe part of a different wave. I'm not sure, but there was a vehicle that drove across the field like this, and it got hit by a drone. So it drove kind of like this, and then turned north, and then turned around and started driving south and got hit by a drone and exploded. Then there were other waves where these tanks and whatnot and BMPs, they were driving north this way, and they were driving kind of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, trying to drop off infantry towards the front. So they were just driving back and forth and back and forth, and of these vehicles, at least these were destroyed. There was a BMP-2, there was a T-80 BV, there was another T-80 BV, there was a BMP-2. So at least these were destroyed, and I think there are probably more. Separate from all of this, there was now where was that? We forgot where that even happened. Oh yeah, this tank blew up. I have no idea what that was. It might not have been a tank, but there was just a random explosion. So anyways, separate from all of that, there was this, a Brem towing a damaged T-80, and it was driving, and going around this turn, and then roughly here, got hit by a drone, which I think knocked out the driver, and the Brem just kind of went across the field and crashed into a tree over here, and the Brem is just kind of sitting there sadly, on fire and whatever, and the T-80 was behind it. Magyar's crew then flew a drone up to the T-80, and they dropped a bunch of bombs on the engine, which seemed to have damaged it. I'm not sure if it was destroyed, but later on, both of these vehicles were recovered. So anyway, this was another major battle. Now, of these, just of the vehicles I have mapped, so that's a Brem 1, a T-80, T-80, BMP 2, something I don't know, another BMP 2, another T-80, three things I don't know, but I think two of them are T-80s and one's a BMP. And then this tank was probably a T-80, a BMP-2, a BMP-2, and another tank that was probably a T-80. So that's a lot of vehicles. Just these attacks.
I like in these three attacks, rough estimate, how many vehicles have you just mapped?
Well, just right here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 tanks, and 1, 2. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4 BMPs, and 4 others, and a Brem. So 5 tanks, 4 BMPs, and 4 others. Of those 4 others, I think these 2 are tanks, and I think that's a BMP, but it's really hard to tell because there's like this is the image we're working with. it's hard to tell. There's something. They're either tanks or BMPs, so you could say they're 50-50 if you want. So that's a lot. The other attack in Marinka, I have no idea. But also, they lost at least like 5 or 6 vehicles there. So they claim, The Ukrainian claim is that they destroyed 15 armored vehicles in this assault. And we have right here. Yeah, we have 15 here. So, yeah, they claim to have destroyed 15, and we have 15 accounted for. So that checks out.
That's kind of amazing, actually. To actually have video proof of each of them, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
So this image that didn't load because I'm stupid, this image looks basically like this, where it's but over there. it's just like a dot with fire coming out from very far away. That's what it looks like. It's just but over here. I like didn't upload the image correctly or something. So yeah, that was a major assault. So that's 3 major assaults we've talked about today. It's more than usual. Now getting west of Maiorske, these are some green eyeballs. So there's heavy shelling here. It's really hard to tell. It's also not really. It's like moderate shelling. It's moderate shelling here. It's really hard to see it, but it is especially right here, and also you can see all of these brown dots on top of the sickly gray. Those are all fresh artillery. Sickly gray is sad ground that caught on fire. And similarly, over here, there is shelling here. You can see all these kind of fresh markers to the south that are kind of brownish, or I mean, yellow brownish, and these darker ones on top of the sickly gray. So that's all fresh shelling. Now, whose shelling is it? I don't know. Probably Russian. But I don't know. If it is Russian shelling, it's interesting because it would mean that Ukraine is over here now, where this was believed to be Russian controlled. It's also would be interesting because Russia has been recently assaulting north right here. So Ukraine being there would make this assault north rather weird. It could also be Ukrainian shelling. I don't know. Now, some lesser interesting green eyeballs. There's shelling, Russia shelling in the place where they've been shelling for a long time, so it's not super interesting. Again, here, them shelling in a place that they've been shelling for a while. So this is heavy shelling, heavier than you would normally see. So it suggests that something is going on, that Russia is upset at something, that maybe Ukraine is assaulting, and that is like Russia finds the offensive. I don't know. So moving on over, we have this is moderate to light shelling. It's okay. First, any shelling that we can see on the satellite is heavy shelling because we can't, like, it takes a lot of shelling to be visible at this resolution. But of that heavy shelling, this is on the light end of it. This is like kind of the minimum we could see. So this is, but anyways, this is in a position that Ukraine is believed to have recently captured. So that's somewhat interesting. Now over here is much more interesting to me. That again, this is not super heavy shelling. This is on the light end, but it's in a position that Ukraine appears to be assaulting. This is likely Ukrainian shelling, but it shows that combat is kind of getting there. That maybe Ukraine will assault it soon. And similarly, this is a little bit heavier than that. But this is the tree line to there. Well, it's not really a tree line anymore. Now it's just a pile of dead trees. But so yeah, those are some green eyeballs. Now, kind of moving on, this is a series of airstrikes. It's 3 airstrikes all in one place. Weird. It's in the middle of a field. Don't know what that's about. Again, another airstrike along like a trench. Weird. Now, here, some MRL in the middle of a field. Weird. Okay, so that's kind of it for the Robotyne area. Now moving on north towards Novodonetske, we have MRL shelling all in the middle of this field. Don't know why. And we also have MRL shelling at this field as well. All these big dots are MRLs. So you can see probably a dozen of them in this picture, and more dozens in this picture. Probably 2 or 3 dozen in that picture. So that's all the green eyeballs. They're not, most of them are not terribly interesting. There's just things that I noticed looking at the satellite. Okay, so one last thing to talk about Robotyne. First, I want to say that yesterday a video came out that they claim it was from Novopokoprivka. I tried so hard to locate this video, and it is incredibly difficult to locate, and I could never locate it. And it's very frustrating. I really wanted to. Because I do not believe it's on the outskirts of the town. I think it's in the town. I can't find it. It could also just not be in Novopokoprivka. It could, I don't know. It could be somewhere else. But the source is reliable. Is the issue, is because I actually do believe it's in Novopokoprivka, and I don't think it's on the outskirts, and I don't think it's over here. I think it might be here, but I couldn't find it. So Ukraine is claiming that Russia fell back, that they kind of abandoned this tree line and this entire field and this tree line, that they abandoned it. And now the main defense is like somewhere here-ish. That's the Ukrainian claim. Now, I don't know if that's actually true. I guess I could probably show that Novopokoprivka video, because nothing bad happens in it. Yeah, also, it kind of looks like a video game, to be honest. Let me find it. Give me a second.
Is that the one that you and I were talking about yesterday?
No.
With the photos? Oh.
Wait, was it? I can't remember. Okay. I'm trying to show the video, but my computer... Okay. So this is the video.
Nope, it wasn't this one.
This was in... I can't find it. There's so little to work with in this. This video is like edited in a way to make it borderline impossible to locate. And they achieved it, man. You gotta hand it to them. I can't find it. Very frustrating. There are a few things that you can see from this video. First, behind this, what is this? I can't remember what that's called. But anyway, behind it is a field. So we know there's a field behind it. And this is a very thin tree line. Another thing that we know is that there's a power pole here. And there is this square. Don't know what the square is. I'm not sure. And there is another thing that I'm scrubbing to find, to scrub slowly so I don't miss it. Trying to find it. Where are you? Show the thing.
Ooh, what's that?
Anyway, here there's another power pole. I'm trying to find a good image of that power pole. Oh, here it is. So that's another power pole. So there's 2 power poles, a very thin tree line, in a field.
And
Where? Yeah. What was that?
And tracks behind the vehicle.
Well, we're never going to see that on
I don't know. They look really deep.
But you have to keep in mind that for us to see it on that satellite, the satellite's resolution like it has to be like at
Mm,
least like a
yeah.
meter thick, and these are like not a meter thick. Like you need to have like 50 tanks drive through to see it. It's like
Yep.
that's what
Okay.
we're so the resolution is just so bad. So there's a thin tree line with a field behind it and power lines. So this is a candidate, right? There's a big field and a thin tree line, although this is actually a thick tree line. But the problem is there's no power lines there. Um, so I went through this entire town and I can't find it. I spent hours and hours and hours.
So wait, can you go back to the tree line? There's like a faint line that goes north south there through the tree line, kind of north south.
Oh, you mean like this?
No, just to the left of that. If you zoom back out, it's easier to see.
Like that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a power line at all.
No, that's it's like a depression.
Oh, okay. It's where 40 tanks drove. Gotcha.
No, it's just a depression. I don't actually know. Oh, you know what it could be? It could be like a form of irrigation, maybe.
Oh, the actual line. Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks kind of like a little tiny baby-sized canal.
Oh, you know what? When we put in everybody's listening to this and thinking we're crazy. But anyways, when we put in like a water line that goes from the well to a new building, for instance, or you can see it on the old well lines, um, you can see even like 40 years later exactly what the line is where the water line runs from the well to the building, because there is like a distinct depression there and it stays greener than all of the other grass around it because the water just kind of sits in there. So it could be something like that for sure.
Yep, maybe. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's obviously man-made.
Yeah.
And it is connecting whatever this is to whatever that is, in a pretty straightforward way. But anyways, I can't find this video. It might not even be in the town, but I can't find it. It's very frustrating. I spent so many hours looking for that, and I could not find it. So, uh, so yeah, Ukraine has been suggesting that there's a lot of positivity in Novoprokopivka. I don't see evidence of it. I'm not saying it's not true either. I don't see evidence to the contrary either. Um, Russia yesterday said that they captured all this ground back. I don't think that's true. I tend to believe that Novoprokopivka may actually be genuinely in trouble right now, from Ukrainian attacks. I wish I could identify this video. I wish I could find it. Even if it's not in Novoprokopivka, I still wish I could find it. Like, just, I can't. So, yeah. So there could be positivity in Novoprokopivka that we just don't know about. Yeah, that's pretty much all the news I got. There's like airstrikes over here as per usual. So yeah, that's that. Yesterday, Rostov caught on fire. I think everybody knows about that though. There's also reported explosions in Berdyansk yesterday, but I never read what that could be about. It was just explosions apparently.
And Rostov was specifically warehouses at the port, which was great.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Apparently, they say they lit uniforms on fire. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they said.
Seems like that maybe got out of control if that's what it started as.
Yeah, the Conca Bridge is this bridge, I believe. Anytime someone says that there's fighting near a bridge, just take it with a grain of salt. Because what does it mean to be fighting near the bridge? Is this near the bridge? Like, is that near the bridge? Is right here near the bridge? Is like here near the bridge? I don't know what does near the bridge mean, and who's fighting, and how many of them are there? Just take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, that's the Kanka is the river that kind of runs parallel to the Dnipro. It's it's this river. Um, I think I can show it on a different map that will label it. Yeah. So there's the Kanka River, and there's actually so many rivers here. If you like zoom in, there's so many different rivers. Like here's a different river. But yeah, that one's the Kanka. It's one of the it's like the second river to the Dnipro. Yeah. So that's kind of all I gotta talk about. I guess there is another thing I should talk about that I almost forgot to. There does appear to be shaping operations going on in the north, specifically in the form of missile strikes. I'm not talking about the bridges either. I think some of the bridges, it is true that some of the bridges were destroyed, but I think a lot of that bridge news, I think, is a psyop, at least part of it. Because I think they're confusing time. Because from what I can tell, they're taking actual bridges that were actually destroyed and intermixing them with bridges that were destroyed in the past, and also bridges that were targeted but not damaged. So they're trying to make it look like see, these bridges were destroyed and here's a bunch of other bridges, and they want you to connect the dots and just assume everything was destroyed. I think that's the psyop, because psyop doesn't mean something is false. A psyop is trying to make you come to a conclusion. So saying that this bridge was destroyed can be true, and it can also still be a psyop. And that's so I'm not talking about the bridges. Beyond the bridges, there are also missile strikes going on, and I can't really get into the details of these missile strikes because it's not public. But the fact that there are missile strikes is public, so I feel comfortable talking about the fact that there are missile strikes, and I feel that these missile strikes are a shaping operation. So that's all I am really comfortable talking about. But there are missile strikes. They are documented. I have been mapping the ones that are public. So there have been missile strikes in Konstantinivka. There have been missile strikes in Kramatorsk. There have been missile strikes in Slovyansk, and other places. And I believe these are a shaping operation, shaping for an offensive. Now, that doesn't mean an offensive will come, because you can prepare for something and never do it. But obviously, you should prepare for something if you want to do it. Even if you haven't made the final decision yet, you still want to prepare for it in case you do make that decision, right? Because that's just being an adult, I guess. But so I see this as a shaping operation, and that's important to point out. So that's kind of the last piece of news I have to talk about. Did I forget anything? I don't know. Sometimes I forget things and then I say
really
to
important.
myself later, "Oh, I should have said that," but it's too late. No.
I think you're good. I think
Okay.
you're good.
I didn't forget anything this time. All right.
I'm
So
impressed.
that's the stream. We did it. Thank you for everyone who came and listened to it. And if you liked it, then you can share it with people. Maybe share a timestamp you liked. I don't know. Or you could just leave a thumbs up and a comment. Those are cool. A fundraiser. I don't have a fundraiser right now. I mean, there's Liberty Ukraine. They are always fundraising. I have a fundraiser coming, but it's not ready yet, unfortunately. Boat news. Well, we talked about ship news. Regarding boat news, the only boat news I have today was that Russia attacked a boat right there. Brood. Rude. Don't do that. It's mean. What'd that boat do to you? Nothing. It's a boat. There is other boat news. One of the channels that I follow, who is, I think, actually an accurate reporter, not perfectly accurate, but mostly, he said today Ukraine took a lot of casualties on boats. I can't remember the exact quote. Let me see if I can find it. But he stated that today in particular, Ukraine took a lot of boat-related casualties. Let me see if I can find him. I can't. What was the name of his account? I always forget the name of his account. And I follow a lot of accounts. Oh geez. Is it you? No. Well, it's easy to find him because I'm just gonna scroll through every account I follow until I find him. That's my strategy. Oh, give me a minute. The good thing is that his account is very easy to notice once you find it.
So, like, when we're talking about boats, there's lots of different types of boats. Was there any definition of the type of boat or the area of the boat?
Well, the area is right here because he only covers here. He covers from Berislav to Olhivka. So he only covers right here, like very limited because he's an actual soldier, and this is where his brigade is, or battalion, or whatever. Where are you? Oh, there he is. I found him. Okay, so I'll just show the text because I don't feel like. This is auto translate, by the way. So he said yesterday there was a lot of noise, boats were attacking, etc. And now it's a fact. 3 will not return to their families. It's a shame they could have just given up. So that's what he was saying. So he did say that there are boat-related casualties. So that's the boat news. You guys wanted boat news, you got boat news. All right, so I'll be back on Friday. Thank you for coming, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye.